We've been taught that kindness is the highest virtue, that if we just love harder, give more, and stay patient, eventually the person hurting us will see our worth. But what happens when they don't? What happens when kindness isn't met with gratitude, but with manipulation? Here's the truth. Some people see kindness as a currency to be exploited, not a gift to be honored. And if you've ever dealt with a narcissist, you know this game all too well. At first, they charm you. They make you feel seen, special, but soon the dynamic shifts. They criticize instead of celebrate. They gaslight instead of validate. And when you call it out, suddenly you're the problem. Sound familiar? Here's the shift. Stop being nice to someone who weaponizes your goodness. Be boundaried instead. We've been taught over and over again that kindness is a virtue, that being nice, being accommodating, being understanding, those are the things that make us good people. And for the most part, that's true. Kindness is powerful. Kindness can heal wounds, build bridges, and change lives. But there's a dangerous myth that's been sold to us, the idea that kindness and compliance are the same thing, that to be kind, we must always say yes. That to be kind, we must accept mistreatment. That to be kind, we must make ourselves small so others feel big. And that, my friends, is not kindness, that is self-abandonment. Real kindness isn't about letting someone walk all over you. It's not about excusing bad behavior in the name of compassion. It's not about giving endless second chances to someone who only sees your generosity as an open door to take more. Because here's the truth. Some people don't see kindness as a gift. They see it as an opportunity. And if you've ever dealt with a narcissist, you know exactly what I mean. A narcissist doesn't view your kindness the way a healthy person would. A healthy person sees kindness and says, wow, what a beautiful thing. I want to cherish and respect this. A narcissist, on the other hand, sees kindness and thinks, here's someone I can manipulate. Here's someone I can guilt trip. Here's someone I can use without consequence. And if you've been in that position, if you've given your kindness freely only to be met with gaslighting, manipulation, or cruelty, then you know how exhausting it is. You know how it feels to pour and pour and pour into someone only to be left empty. So let me say this as clearly as I can. Kindness is not weakness. But misplaced kindness can leave you powerless. Let me give you an example. Imagine you're in a boat. Your boat is steady, strong. You have enough supplies for your journey and you feel good about where you're going. Then someone you love comes along, but they don't have a boat. They're struggling, barely keeping their head above water. So out of kindness, you pull them in. You share your food, your water, your space. At first, it feels good. It feels right. Helping someone, especially someone we love, is one of the best things we can do, but then something shifts. Instead of being grateful, they start demanding more. Instead of paddling with you, they sit back while you do all the work. Instead of working together to stay afloat, they begin poking holes in the boat. And the worst part, every time you try to bring it up, every time you say, hey, this isn't fair, I need some help here, they make you feel like you're the problem. So let me ask you, at what point do you stop calling it kindness and start calling it what it really is? Self-sacrifice at your own expense. Because here's the thing, real kindness includes you in the equation. Real kindness doesn't ask you to set yourself on fire just to keep someone else warm. Real kindness isn't about giving until there's nothing left of you. Kindness is having the strength to say no. Kindness is knowing when to walk away. Kindness is recognizing that some people aren't meant to be in your boat. And the moment you start seeing kindness that way, everything changes. You stop letting people take advantage of your good heart. You stop mistaking guilt for responsibility. And most importantly, you stop confusing being a good person with being someone's emotional doormat. because you can be kind without being used. You can be compassionate without being manipulated, and you can be loving without betraying yourself in the process. So the next time someone tries to convince you that walking away is cruel, that saying no is mean, or that setting a boundary is unkind, remember this: kindness is not weakness. Kindness is knowing your worth. Kindness is refusing to let someone treat you like you don't matter. And that is the kind of kindness that will set you free. Let's talk about something that a lot of us struggle with, especially those of us who have big hearts, deep empathy, and a natural desire to see the best in people. It's this idea that if we just love someone enough, if we're patient enough, if we give them enough chances, eventually they'll change. We set expectations. We believe that if we treat someone with kindness, they'll return it. If we show them grace, they'll appreciate it. If we sacrifice for them, they'll do the same for us. But here's the hard truth. Expectations set you up for disappointment when you're dealing with a narcissist. A narcissist doesn't play by the same emotional rules as you do. You expect basic decency and they deliver manipulation. You expect reciprocity and they take without giving. You expect accountability and they gaslight you into believing that you're the one in the wrong. And this is where the shift has to happen. Instead of setting expectations for how they should act, you set boundaries for what you will and will not accept. Because here's the difference. Expectations put your emotional well-being in someone else's hands. Boundaries put it back in yours. Expectations say, I hope they treat me better. Boundaries say, if they don't, I will remove myself. Expectations leave you feeling powerless. Boundaries make you powerful. Think about it like this. Imagine you live in a house with no front door. People can come in and out as they please. Some people are kind and respectful, wiping their feet at the door. Others track mud through your living room, rummage through your kitchen, and take whatever they want without asking. Now, you could sit there hoping, expecting that one day they'll start being more considerate, that one day they'll recognize how much they've hurt you and change their ways. Or you could build a door. And not just any door, a strong one that you control, one that allows the good in and keeps the bad out. That door, that's your boundary. A boundary isn't about trying to change someone else's behavior. It's about deciding what you will and won't tolerate and enforcing it. So, what does this look like in real life? Instead of expecting a narcissist to respect your feelings, set a boundary that you will not engage in conversations that turn manipulative or cruel. Instead of expecting them to stop pushing your limits, set a boundary that if they continue, you will walk away. Instead of expecting them to magically develop empathy, set a boundary that you will no longer participate in a relationship that drains you. Now, I won't sugarcoat this. When you start enforcing boundaries, a narcissist won't like it. They'll push back. They'll guilt trip you. They'll call you selfish. Why? Because boundaries threaten their control. See, a narcissist thrives in relationships where there are no boundaries. They love when you second guess yourself. They love when they can guilt you into over-explaining or justifying why you deserve basic respect. But the moment you start enforcing boundaries, the game changes. And I know setting boundaries can feel scary at first, especially if you've been conditioned to believe that keeping the peace is more important than protecting your own well-being. But let me tell you something. Peace that comes at the cost of your self-respect is not peace. It's submission. So if you've been waiting for permission to choose yourself, to draw a line in the sand, to build that door and lock it when necessary, here it is. Stop setting expectations for someone who has shown you they will never meet them. Start setting boundaries that remind you of your own worth. Because you deserve relationships that feel safe, not ones that require you to tolerate pain in the name of love. If you've ever dealt with a narcissist, whether it's a parent, a partner, a friend, or a boss, you know this feeling. You keep trying, you keep hoping, you keep waiting for that moment when they'll finally see you, finally appreciate you, finally treat you with the respect and kindness you deserve. And the heartbreaking part, it never comes. Or if it does, it's temporary, just long enough to keep you hooked, just long enough to make you doubt yourself when the cycle of manipulation starts all over again. So let me tell you the truth that changed everything for me. Real power comes when you detach from their approval and reclaim your own. Because the moment you stop needing validation from someone who thrives on keeping you emotionally hooked, that's the moment you set yourself free. Why we get stuck. Narcissists are masters of control, but they don't control you with chains or force. They control you with hope. The hope that one day they'll change, that one day they'll apologize, that one day they'll be the person you believe they could be. And that hope, that's what keeps you tied to them. They know exactly how to push your buttons. They know exactly how to throw just enough kindness your way to keep you hanging on. They dangle love like a reward, like a prize you have to work for. And the second you think you've earned it, they yank it away. It's a game, a sick, exhausting, soul-crushing game. And the only way to win, stop playing. What detachment really means now, let me be clear, detachment is not coldness, it's not cruelty, it's not shutting down your ability to love or feel. Detachment is power. It's the power to see manipulation for what it is. It's the power to walk away from a fight you don't need to be in. It's the power to stop explaining yourself to someone who is committed to misunderstanding you. Detachment is looking at a narcissist and saying, I see what you're doing, and I'm no longer available for it. It's no longer reacting when they bait you. It's no longer bending over backward to earn their approval. It's no longer expecting them to be someone they will never be. How to detach and reclaim your power. Stop explaining yourself. Narcissists love to pull you into endless debates where they twist your words, make you question yourself, and leave you feeling exhausted. Stop explaining. Stop justifying. Stop giving them ammunition. A simple I don't agree is enough. Accept who they are, not who you want them to be. This is the hardest part. You have to grieve the fantasy, the idea that one day they'll wake up and realize how much they've hurt you. The idea that one day they'll change. They won't, not because you didn't try hard enough, not because you weren't good enough, but because they don't want to. Drop the need for closure. You will never get the apology you deserve. You will never get the conversation where they finally take accountability. And that's okay, because you don't need it to move on. Closure isn't something they can give you. Closure is something you give yourself. Gray rock them if you have to be around them. Co-parenting, work, family. Stop feeding them your emotions. Narcissists thrive on your reactions. They want to see you upset. They want to see you hurt. So stop giving them the satisfaction. Become as boring and unbothered as a gray rock. No drama, no emotional responses, just neutral, detached energy. Reclaim your identity. Narcissists chip away at your self-worth. They make you doubt yourself, second-guess yourself, question your reality. Detaching means remembering who you were before they convinced you that you were less. It means rebuilding your confidence, your joy, your power, the freedom that comes with detachment. The moment you detach, the moment you stop needing their approval, everything changes. You feel lighter, stronger, free. Because the truth is, they never had power over you. The only power they ever had was the power you gave them. And now you're taking it back. You're done seeking love from someone incapable of giving it. You're done trying to prove your worth to someone who never deserved you. You're done shrinking yourself just to keep them comfortable. Because the real you, the powerful you, the free you, they were there all along. And now it's time to rise. Let's talk about something that so many of us, especially the deeply compassionate, the healers, the fixers, struggle with. The belief that loving someone means sacrificing ourselves for them. We've been taught that empathy is a virtue, that being understanding, forgiving, and compassionate makes us good people. And that's true. Empathy is beautiful. It's what allows us to connect, to nurture, to love. But somewhere along the way, many of us picked up a toxic belief that in order to love someone, we have to suffer for them, that we have to endure their mistreatment, that we have to put their needs above our own, even when it's destroying us. That is not empathy. That is self-abandonment, the trap of endless giving. If you've ever dealt with a narcissist, you know exactly what this feels like. At first, they make you feel special. They soak up your kindness, your understanding, your patience. They tell you that no one else gets them the way you do. They create a dynamic where you feel responsible for their happiness. But over time, something shifts. You start to realize that the empathy you give so freely is never returned. That no matter how much you do for them, it's never enough. That the more you sacrifice, the more they expect. And the worst part, the moment you try to set a boundary, they flip the script. I thought you cared about me. You're being selfish. After everything I've been through, you're really going to walk away. Suddenly your kindness is being weaponized against you. And because you have a big heart, because you truly care, you start to wonder, am I being selfish? Am I being too harsh? Should I just keep giving a little more? But here's what you need to hear. Empathy should never come at the cost of your own well-being. Because the second you start betraying yourself to keep someone else happy, that's not love, that's self-destruction. The difference between empathy and self-sacrifice, let's break this down. Empathy is feeling someone's pain without making it your own burden. Self-sacrifice is absorbing their pain and believing it's your job to fix it. Empathy is offering support, kindness, and understanding. Self-sacrifice is giving so much that there's nothing left of you. Empathy says, I see you, I care about you, and I will do what I can within my limits. Self-sacrifice says, your needs matter more than mine, so I'll keep pouring into you even if it drains me completely. And let me say this loud and clear. It is not your job to fix someone who refuses to do the work on themselves. How to protect your empathy without losing yourself. Recognize that you are not their savior. You can love someone deeply and still not be responsible for healing them. No amount of patience, kindness, or sacrifice will fix a person who doesn't want to change. Check in with yourself. Ask yourself, am I giving because I want to or because I feel obligated? Do I feel energized by this relationship or exhausted? Am I taking care of myself the way I take care of them? If the answer to those questions makes you uneasy, it's time to reevaluate, set emotional boundaries. Just because you understand someone's pain doesn't mean you have to carry it for them. You can be compassionate without absorbing their emotions. If being around them constantly drains you, that's a sign to step back. Stop justifying mistreatment. Narcissists love to use their past trauma as an excuse for their behavior. And because you're empathetic, you want to be understanding. But hear this, pain explains behavior, but it does not excuse it. You can have empathy for their struggles without accepting abuse. Give yourself permission to walk away. True empathy isn't about staying in situations that harm you. It's about honoring your own needs as much as you honor others. If someone is draining you, manipulating you, or refusing to respect your boundaries, you are allowed to leave. Choosing yourself is not selfish, it's necessary. The biggest lie we've been told is that choosing ourselves is selfish, that walking away from someone who hurts us means we're cold, unkind, or lacking compassion. But let me tell you something. Real love does not require you to sacrifice yourself. Real love is mutual. Real love is reciprocal. Real love allows you to give while still feeling full. So if you're in a relationship, romantic, familial, or otherwise, where your empathy is being drained, manipulated, and used against you, take a step back and ask yourself, is my kindness being valued or is it being exploited? Am I giving from a place of love or from a place of guilt and obligation? If I keep sacrificing myself for this person, what will be left of me? Because you deserve to be whole. You deserve to be loved without conditions. You deserve relationships where your empathy is a gift, not a tool for someone else's control. So today, make yourself a promise. I will not abandon myself in the name of love. Because empathy doesn't mean losing yourself to someone else's brokenness. It means loving yourself enough to know when to walk away. Because let's be honest, comfort is easy. Comfort is familiar. Comfort is knowing what to expect, even if what we expect isn't good for us. Comfort is staying in the toxic relationship because leaving feels terrifying. Comfort is tolerating mistreatment because setting boundaries might create conflict. Comfort is silencing your needs because speaking up might push people away. And here's the truth. Comfort can feel safe, but it's also where we stay stuck. Why we settle for comfort. We all crave stability. We want to feel secure, to know that we're not alone, to believe that if we just try a little harder, things will get better. So we tell ourselves stories. Maybe they didn't mean to hurt me. Maybe if I'm more patient, they'll change. Maybe it's not that bad. And over time, we become so used to minimizing our own pain that we convince ourselves that staying put is the right choice. We settle, we tolerate, we shrink. And before we know it, we're trapped, not by the situation itself, but by our fear of what happens if we choose courage instead. What choosing courage looks like. Courage isn't loud, it isn't dramatic. It doesn't always look like grand, life-altering moments. Sometimes courage is quiet. Sometimes courage is simply choosing yourself. Courage is setting a boundary even when you know they won't like it. Courage is walking away from someone you love because they refuse to love you back in a healthy way. Courage is saying this isn't okay when everyone around you is telling you to just let it go. Courage is choosing growth over familiarity even when it's uncomfortable. And here's the thing about courage. It doesn't always feel good at first. It feels terrifying. It feels uncertain. It feels like stepping off a ledge without knowing if there's solid ground beneath you. But let me tell you this. Every time you choose courage over comfort, you take back your power. The price of choosing comfort over courage. Now, let's be clear. Choosing comfort isn't always wrong. There are times when rest, stability, and ease are necessary. But when comfort comes at the cost of your self-worth, your happiness, or your freedom, that's not comfort. That's self-abandonment. Staying in a relationship where you're not respected isn't comfort, it's fear of the unknown. Keeping the peace by staying silent isn't comfort, it's emotional suppression. Holding on to toxic people because it's too hard to start over isn't comfort, it's self-imposed imprisonment. And here's the hardest truth of all. Comfort has consequences. When you don't choose courage, resentment builds. When you don't choose courage, you lose parts of yourself in the process. When you don't choose courage, you wake up one day realizing you're living a life that doesn't even feel like yours anymore. Because comfort will keep you in a place that is familiar but unfulfilling. But courage will take you to a place that is unfamiliar but freeing. How to start choosing courage today. If you've been stuck in comfort, if you've been avoiding hard decisions because they feel too overwhelming, let me give you a starting point. Acknowledge what you're afraid of. What's keeping you in place? Are you afraid of being alone? Afraid of failing? Afraid of disappointing people? Naming your fear is the first step in taking away its power. Make one small, brave choice at a time. You don't have to overhaul your entire life overnight. Just start with one small act of courage. Say no when you mean no. Speak your truth, even if it's just to yourself. Detach from the need for approval. Choosing courage means some people won't like it. The ones who benefited from your silence, your compliance, your willingness to bend, they'll push back. But you are not here to make others comfortable at your own expense. Accept that discomfort is part of growth. Courage doesn't feel good right away. It feels uncomfortable because it's unfamiliar. But discomfort is a sign that you are growing. Lean into it. Remind yourself of what's at stake. Ask yourself, what's the cost of staying the same? If nothing changes, where will you be a year from now, 5 years from now? Sometimes the pain of staying stuck is greater than the fear of change. Not just self-respect, not just a little bit of self-worth sprinkled here and there, but radical self-respect, the kind that shifts the way you move through the world, the kind that makes people pause because they can feel your boundaries before you even speak them, the kind that makes it impossible for anyone, especially a narcissist, to manipulate you again. Now, let me say this. Self-respect is not about arrogant. It's not about being cold. It's not about thinking you're better than anyone else. It's about finally deciding that you are no longer available for relationships, situations, and behaviors that drain, diminish, or dishonor you. And let's be real, many of us weren't taught this. We were taught to be nice, to be accommodating, to be agreeable, to be understanding. And what did that lead to? Saying yes when we wanted to say no. Shrinking ourselves so others would feel more comfortable. Over-explaining, over-apologizing, and overextending ourselves for people who would never do the same for us. That's not self-respect, that's self-abandonment. And radical self-respect, that's the cure. What radical self-respect looks like, radical self-respect isn't about playing games or trying to prove a point. It's about the way you carry yourself, the way you talk to yourself, and the way you enforce your own standards. Here's what it looks like in real life. You stop explaining yourself to people who are committed to misunderstanding you. Narcissists love to twist your words, make you second guess yourself, and drag you into never-ending conversations where they gaslight and manipulate. Stop playing the game. You don't owe anyone a 10-minute justification for why you set a boundary. No is a full sentence. You walk away from disrespect without looking back. When someone shows you who they are, when they lie, cheat, manipulate, or belittle you, you don't stick around hoping they'll change. You walk away. No dramatic exit, no big speech, no trying to teach them a lesson. You just leave because your energy is too valuable to waste on people who don't honor it. You don't accept bare minimum effort. The old you might have accepted breadcrumbs, half-hearted apologies, inconsistent behavior, last-minute texts. The new you, the one with radical self-respect, you expect reciprocity, you expect consistency, and if someone can't meet you there, you don't beg, you don't chase, you move on. You prioritize your own needs without guilt. How many times have you put yourself last because you didn't want to inconvenience anyone? How many times have you ignored your own exhaustion just to be there for someone else? Radical self-respect means your needs matter just as much as everyone else's. You don't have to deplete yourself to prove your worth. You hold yourself to the same standards you expect from others. This is the part a lot of people miss. Radical self-respect isn't just about demanding better treatment from others. It's about treating yourself better too. No more negative self-talk, no more breaking promises to yourself, no more tolerating behaviors in yourself that you wouldn't accept from anyone else. Why narcissists hate radical self-respect? Let's be honest. Narcissists love people who lack self-respect. They seek out the overly accommodating, the people pleasers, the ones who will keep giving no matter how little they receive in return. But when you have radical self-respect, they can't manipulate you, they can't guilt trip you, they can't keep you in their toxic cycle of abuse. Because you see through it, you see through them, and nothing is more terrifying to a narcissist than someone they can't control. How to build radical self-respect if this is new for you, if you've spent your whole life putting others first and tolerating less than you deserve. Building radical self-respect will feel uncomfortable at first, but discomfort is a sign of growth, and here's how you start. Make a non-negotiable list. Write down the behaviors, values, and standards that are non-negotiable for you, not just in relationships, but in all areas of your life: friendships, work, family, self-care. And then honor that list. No exceptions. Stop explaining and start enforcing. When you set a boundary, don't explain it. Don't over-justify. Just state it and enforce it. Example: